Hi all, it's just a little short video to basically do a review on the Chinese diesel heater. So it's had 2 full years of use now, and it has had a lot of use, and just want to sort of talk to you about reliability. Well, I haven't had a thing go wrong with it. It's been 100% reliable. It's got the remote control that you can keep in the house. If you want to preheat the place, your workshop, you can just press your remote in the house. I've got it hooked up there. I don't use it. I come in here and I put the heating on. So I've just come in here and it's 8.6 degrees at the moment, so it's not so warm. I think it's about 3 degrees outside. There's always about a 5-degree difference between in here, with it being insulated. I must say, it's an insulated garage, and once it gets up to temperature, it's like a giant radiator, and it stays up to temperature for a long time. But the panels on the inside, they're steel, and I think they're galvanised and plastic coated steel, because then they're sandwiched with 4" of polystyrene to another steel panel on the outside. So the walls are 4" thick, and it's high compression polystyrene. It's not just rock wool, but of course the steel on the inside is 8 degrees. It's got to get warmed up. So I haven't fired the heater up, and I'm going to put a camera over here and set a timer going, pointing at the temperature gauge and the timer, and I'll leave that running in real time. And then I'm going to set another camera up over where the controller is, and we'll fire it up and let's see. Now, it's not going to warm up super quick, it just isn't. I mean, if I want to warm up something really quick, I just turn this little fan heater on, and I can get temperature up fairly quick, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a real world with the diesel heater. Fuel, I'm now using 100% kerosene, which I have done all along, apart from right at the beginning, the December before last. I couldn't get hold of it. I didn't know where to get kerosene from, so I was buying red diesel, but at that time it was 1.47 a litre, which is dearer than normal diesel is now, so it wasn't cheap, and I ran it on that for about a month, and then eventually found out about Oilswell at Brighouse, and I've put a lot of you guys that maybe watch this onto them, and you've bought it from them. Now, I've been and got some about 3-4 weeks ago, and I bought 50 litres, 2 25-litre drums, and that'll last me right through this winter period now, until the good weather comes, and probably a few little hits during the summer when it's not so warm, and you know, on an evening. So I'm paying £1 a litre for it. Now, there's quite a few others. If you want to watch somebody who does a lot of reviews on these Chinese diesel heaters, go look at Joshua Delisle, it's called, and he does all sorts of tests and stuff. Now, what he's done, I think he's bought an IBC, you know, the big 1 metre square cubes in a steel plastic tub in a steel frame, and I think he's buying 500 or 600 litres or whatever at a time. Now, if you buy it in bulk and they deliver for you, you can get it at just over 50p a litre, which would be great, but I've got no facility to do that. So unfortunately, I'm paying £1 a litre for it. However, that is still a bargain when you come to compare it with electric. Now, a lot of people that are anti-diesel heaters will argue with you that the kilowatt this, kilowatt that, and electric's just as good, but it's not. And I've found this out. I've had it for 2 years now. Now, I've been doing work in the workshop. I've been working on my van, and I've also been working on Bev's Fiesta, putting all new bushes on. If you haven't seen that video, you go and have a look. There's a couple of videos of me doing suspension, which I knew it needed doing for MOT. So I had the heating on full purge and probably most of the day on a weekend. And so I'll point you over in a minute. On the other camera I'll show you, on this one I'll spin it round and I'll show you exactly how much diesel I've used, or kerosene that I've used, and it's a 10 litre vessel, and it's what? It's probably got 6 litres left in it. I'll spin you around and have a look. So that's a 10 litre vessel. I can only fill it to there because it overflows if I do. I can't fill it to the top. So it'll have been filled to there, so I've used from there to there, which I guess out of 10 is probably 6 litres, 4 litres I've used of fuel. But that's a lot of running over quite a lot of days, a lot of hours running. And the beauty of it, and I will explain more with the other camera, in fact I'll leave this camera running and we'll move this over and I'll show you, and we'll fire this thing up in real time. That's 8.8 degrees, I guess that humidity. Okay, that's a timer, and that's timing up now. So we'll leave that running and I'll go over to other camera. To program one of these, you can go into engineering mode, and I can't remember which 2 buttons. I think it's OK and power, I'm not sure which. You press and hold them both, but it'll be in your booklet, and it goes into engineering mode, and the code to get into engineering mode is 1688 1688. So that's the code. Then you can get into engineering mode. You can alter your low frequency, your high frequency, your input voltage 12 or 24 volt. You can set the clock, the time clock, and you can alter the fan speed. So I've messed around with this quite a lot over this last year. I haven't done anything with it, I've just used it, but prior to that did quite a lot of experiments, and I found this sweet spot is 5.8 Hz on full, which is what it's on now, and you can hear it blasting away, and on low I've got it at 1.8, because once these steel panels have warmed up, it starts to radiate back, and 1.8 it can just hold its own, and that's usually at 20 to 21 degrees in here, which if you're working is too hot actually, but it's better than electric for many reasons, apart from not just the economy, but it's better because an electric heater is on or off. So if you set it to 20 degrees, when it got to 20 it'd switch off, but then temperature would start dropping again, and it might have to drop a couple of degrees before it come back on again. Excuse me. So this idea is, once it gets up to temperature, I knock it back, usually right back to 1.8 Hz, and back at 1.8 Hz it just keeps this garage nice and toasty, nice temperature, just nice. But economy wise, yeah, it's not done bad at all. So we've used about 4 litres. As I said, it's been 100% reliable. I haven't had to change a glow plug, a filter, anything. I've had nothing whatsoever go wrong with it. I don't run it off a car battery, which a lot of people do. I run it from a power supply, which wasn't expensive, off eBay. I think it's an 8 or a 10 amp, might be a 10 amp, 12 volt DC power supply, run from 240 volt through a spur, fused, and it's all been good, been great. The little keychain, I'll show you that. In fact, I do it without taking it off. It's still just on, hanging on wire, but that's your remote start stop, which, as I say, I've never used it. I programmed it in, so it does work. I've tested it, but I've never needed to use it. If I'm going to come into a workshop, I'm on it cold for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it's warmed up enough. I will add that if you've got a workshop, garage, etc., made out of timber, and let's assume that you built it or you had it built and it's insulated, you'll find the temperature rise will be a lot quicker than what you see in here, simply, as I said, because this is steel. and this has got to warm up first, and then it'll reflect. But a wooden one obviously bounce it back much quicker. So yeah, it is slow to get up to temperature, but once it's up there it stays there permanently wherever I've got the heater running, as it would, wouldn't it? I'm sure there won't be that many Chinese companies making them. There's probably one great big factory spitting them all out, stick it on, label on, like dishwashers, isn't it? So I hope it's of... Right, so we've been running for just under 18 minutes according to that timer on the wall I set when I switched this on. And we've raised the temperature 3 degrees. It was 8.6, it's now 11.6. Any use to anybody that's thinking about buying one of these, don't hesitate. You'll save a fortune on your electric bill, or indeed gas if you've got a boiler. I mean, a lot of people have fitted these in their homes, haven't they? They fitted the unit outside and piped them into the home, and have saved a fortune on fuel. To give you some idea, we had our central heating on all day on Saturday, and we used nearly £8 of gas, and that's with a very modern, nearly new Baxi electronic boiler, feeding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 radiators in a terraced house. It's not a cold house, but that's how much we used in gas. So in all them days of running in here with this, saying I've used 4 litres, I've used £4. I'm sure if I'd have had a gas boiler in here, I'd have probably used 3 times that amount. So they are cheap to run, they're easy to install, just use your loaf. Don't put the hot exhaust through anything like a wood hole in the wall. If you're going to do it, put a piece of exhaust pipe through and wrap it with asbestos wrap and stuff that through inside the steel tube to insulate it. Otherwise you'll have a smouldering timber frame. Other people have used the exhaust pipe and pumped them through radiators and all sorts, because the exhaust does get very hot, and like people say, a hot exhaust is wasted heat, and I've got mine going literally straight through the wall, and it's all wrapped on the inside, and it is hot. If you put your hand on it outside, it is hot. So yeah, you've got a lot of wasted heat which you could recycle, which many people on YouTube are doing. Okay, let's see what we've got temperature wise. So we've been running for 25 minutes and we've got 13.6. So it shot up 2 degrees while I've been chuntering on. Okay, there's no point in taking it all the way up to 20 because it'll just keep climbing and climbing. I mean, at the moment it's like every 4 minutes, 5 minutes, it's climbing. Right, just under 3 degrees. Yeah, so we're up to nearly 14 degrees in 26 minutes. Yeah. Right, so if you want to fire this thing down, press the button and hold. And you'll hear it cranking down in... Oh, I can't fire it back up now. It's got to go through its cycle. I should have gone down onto lower frequency to show you how quiet it was. I'm trying to work out which two buttons I pressed. So, to get into engineering mode. I don't know whether I might... Oh, it's not them two. Ah, that's it. 1688 I said, didn't I? Okay. Right, so we're into engineering now mode. P. So if any of you watching this are considering buying a Chinese diesel heater, I'd highly recommend it. Now, many years ago I had a boat and I had an ebb dispatcher on. It was a D3, so I'm assuming it was 3 kilowatt, but that would have been true 3 kilowatt, not an artificial 8 kilowatt as what these are supposed to be, which we know they're not. And now that was fitted to the boat when I bought it, and it worked great for a few months. Then it went kaput. And I tried all sorts and I couldn't find out what was wrong with it, and I ended up taking it in, and it was the control board inside that had gone. Now bear in mind, I paid over the odds for this heater because they were in very short supply 2 years back. Nobody had them. They all said they had, and I ordered 3 different ones and ended up having to get my money back, as you'll see again if you go back and watch my full installation, original one, part 1 of Chinese diesel heater. I paid £179 I think it was, so I paid way over odds for it, but I was desperate, I needed it. And that was just before Christmas 2022 when I fitted it. So we've had 2 full years. Right, so my ebb dispatcher, I took it in to an ebb dispatcher dealer. I'm not sure whether it was Halifax somewhere, and he went through it all, and on the bench while I watched him, he plugged in his test controller and it fired up straight away, and he says, yeah, it's common on these, the controller's gone. I said, right, have you got one in stock? He said, no, I'll have to order it, it'll probably take 2 or 3 days. The bill for that were nearly £400 for a new controller. There's a fella on YouTube, Andy Fireblade, he's just blown one up by messing about with a battery. And I think he's had to buy a new controller board. It was £17 for one of these. The parts are so cheap. You can buy every single part, every gasket, everything for them that goes on them. The burner, the glow plug, the filters, the pump, got the controller. You can buy everything, and they're all very, very cheap, and they're all pretty much the same. Now this is a H calorie, and I know there's been an issue with Vivor, but I think the issue is not the heaters, it's something to do with the instructions in them, not very concise, and customs have held a few of them back, I believe. Now I don't think for a minute that a Vivor is any different to this H calorie. I think they're all the same. I'm sure they're all spit out of the same factory and people just label them up to suit themselves. .8 hertz, upper 5.8. Now I can take it right up if I want. Now people said you can't go this high, but I can. Like 8 hertz it'll go up to. But I'm not going to mess it up because it works lovely. Right, it's going to shut down. Okay, so that's your fan. Low speed. That's, I've got it to slowest, so you can take it to up or down. Each time you've done it, you press OK. So I'm going to leave it at that and that. Upper speed 5000. Yeah, that's as high as you can go. 12 volt, that's the operating voltage. You can alter that to 24, but it's not, it's 12. SN1, apparently there's something to do with the glow plug. Leave it alone. PF5, you'd say that with power factor, but it's not. I'm not sure what that is. Off. A clue what's going on in there. And as you've seen now, it's gone off. Cooled itself down and knocked off. The exhaust, you see it under there, runs through a piece of exhaust tubing. That's the power supply. And then I've got this little valve. So if I'm going to be working in the garage, I'll turn that from open, closed, open, closed. So they've now closed that, and that goes through into the workshop. So I shut that off, and then I'd open that up, and that'll blow hot air in here. I know it's a bit of a jiggery pokery idea, it don't look very good, but it works. It's not in out, and that's the pipe there. So you see it goes up there, across there, down here. There's two of them. So that's my recirc. If you've watched my videos before, guys, you'll have seen all this. You'll have seen all this. So that's eye level. That is my inlet, taking warm air from ceiling. That's our open and closed flap for workshop or closed off to garage. And the far tube up there comes down there, goes round and goes back into the heater. And then that's the outlet, straight into the workshop or diverted up and over, which I've just shown you. Okay, 100% reliable, never had a minute's bother with it. I know I've said that, I probably will, but all I know is I can buy all the parts dirt cheap. We will be back on the beast soon. I need to get that reversing camera finished and power supply. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and go and watch some other videos that I've done. Don't forget, if you like things you're seeing, subscribe. I'm sorry I'm a bit long-winded, but I'm trying to be thorough. Okay, stop. Sorry to interrupt this very important programme. However, I've got a shout out for another YouTuber, something that he sent me, and I'll show you that right now in advance. Thank you, Mr. Factotum. What a wonderful gift. Yes, so let's say you got a piece of steel or anything else, and you've got your scriber, and you've scribed a cross on it where you want to drill a hole. You would get your normally a centre punch, and you'd line it up with that centre the best you could, give it a whack. This device from Mr. Factotum's workshop is an optical one. And he's kindly sent me one. So the idea is, whether you can see it or not, but there's a cross on the end of this piece of perspex, if you can see it. And what you do is you put it into the holder and you move it around until down there, which is the viewing scope if you like, until your cross is perfectly on with your cross that you've put on your workpiece. Then you take that out and you put in a centre punch, give that a whack, and you've got it absolutely bang on. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Kev, for that. Brilliant. I will cherish that. So if any of you guys want to make one of these, Mr. Factotum shows you how to make it. I mean, it's not expensive. This is a piece of wood. That is an old tap that is sharpened to a point, a broken tap, and a piece of perspex. Very simple to make. If you go over to his channel, you'll see exactly how he does it, and he shows you exactly how to make it. He's into steam, is Kev. He makes steam engines, little ones. Well, I say little, you can ride on them, and it pulls carriages with people. And I think he's a member of some miniature railway society down where he lives. And he's building at the moment. He bought I think it's called a Sweet Pea, which is a nice steam engine. It's, I don't know, 3 or 4 foot long. And it was unfinished, and he's finishing it. Yeah, he's got various steam locos that he's built over the years. Go give him a watch. Yeah, just thought I'd show that in my little video.